Hey everybody, Dr. Powers here. I want to just go over what's required of you for project one. And so we're going to just look at what the things you're going to be asked to do and just make sure you understand all of the kinds of tools you have in Excel to make it happen. We're going to be once again looking at this real estate data, and we're going to be looking at the relationship again between the median square feet for a county and the median listing price. Before, we were actually looking at a random sample from a single region, but this time we're going to be looking at a random sample from the entire country. So again, just to remind you, how did we pick the random sample? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put my random numbers in this column, in the first column here, so it's kind of out of the way. I'm going to put random numbers. I'll just name it random because I want to keep that label, the column labeled. The function, remember, is just RAND, and then you have to put a couple parentheses. That I'm going to copy that formula, and I'm going to actually go down to the bottom. It's row 900 something, 983. Okay, and I'm going to paste that formula all along. Of course, we have all these random numbers. To get a random sample, you can't just pick 50 of these things that you want. You have to pick 50 randomly. Humans are not good randomizers. We are very poor at making up data that is truly random. We actually put patterns into things all the time without thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is sort this by the random number to get a really good random shuffling. So let's go to sort and filter and do a custom sort. I want to sort it by the random number. After I do that, of course, the random numbers then get regenerated, but that's okay. Now that it's been shuffled, I'm going to delete column A. I don't need it anymore. I can now take the first 50 of these that are here. So that would be some from row, let's see, we're going from row, okay, I'm going to copy this data, and I'll just put this into a new sheet. So my data is in rows 52 to, oh, no, actually that's too many. I'm going to delete that last row. Okay, right, the top row is my region name. Now I don't care about the median cost per square foot, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete this column. I don't need it. And now let's talk about the variables. We're talking about median listing price and median square foot. When we're doing a regression like this, we have one variable we're using to predict and one variable that we are trying to predict. We're using the median square feet as a predictor, and median listing price is our response variable. So in Excel, when I'm making the scatter plot, you want to have the predictor first. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to delete, or I'm going to take this column, okay, and I'm going to cut the column, and on column D, I'm going to insert cut cells. It's going to shift column D to the right, and I'm going to have median square feet here, median listing price there. That's what I want. Because I'm going to create a scatter plot, I'm going to actually, let's select all of the data in these columns, and with the median square feet first, when I go to the insert menu and pick my scatter plot, I'm going to have very nicely have the X variable be the square footage and the Y variable be price. This looks really nice, but what I'm going to do is add an axis title and to the both axes, and I'm going to title this, click into that. This is median square feet, and this one is median listing price. Okay, so this is a nice scatter plot. We can do a couple things straight from here. We can actually put in the trend line, which is something I want to do. You add a chart element, and you click trend line, it's going to put in the diagonal trend line. It's actually the same color. Let's change the color of that. I'm going to click on this and right click on this trend line. You can change the color right here. I'm going to pick red. It's going to come out a little bit nicer. That's not a bad scatter plot. You can see that there is an upward slope, but it is not very steep. So that's an indication to us that there is a positive relationship, but there's also, it's not super strong. You would think that the trend would go more like through the direction of these big cluster points, but the reason it doesn't is because there's a couple of points here that are really throwing off these points up here. These have what you call high leverage. They're really throwing off the trend line. Those are what you would call outlier points. This one here, let's see, this has very small square footage and it has a very high listing price. My guess is it's someplace like New York City or some big city. Let's see, what's this point? This is 0.956. Let's see if I can find it in the data. Oh, it's right here. It's in Kings County, New York. Yeah, okay. So they have the median square footage is small and they're really expensive. So that's going to be that's close to New York City, I guess. Kings County. Not surprising there. Let's see this one. It's also even smaller. This is the. Let's see, it's going to be New Jersey, Hunterton, New Jersey. Much smaller, but really expensive. Must be the proximity to New York City that's throwing it off. So you can see these kinds of outliers, they really throw off the trend line. It happened to be in my sample, and you're probably going to have some outliers because there's tons of outlier counties in the country. So this relationship between square footage and the median listing price for these counties is generally positive, but for some counties, the trend is totally wacky because of other factors. Big cities tend to have really expensive, the location, like how close it is to downtown, is a driving force for the price, and those tend to be smaller. So you might actually see a negative relationship between the listing price and square footage in certain big cities. The smaller the place is, maybe the more convenient it is to downtown because of its location. Those are apartment buildings with smaller apartments, that kind of a thing. Well, all right, this is great, but I want to create a couple other charts. We're going to be looking at median square foot and median listing price, and I want to create some histograms. So I'm going to select the variable median square foot by itself. I'm going to select this whole column and insert another chart in Excel. They have statistics charts here. I'm going to choose the histogram. This is what my histogram for median square feet is, but it doesn't come with a nice title. I need to title this. This is going to be median square feet, I'll just call it. And I'll histogram, and this axis I'm going to let's insert an axis title. Well, the vertical axis is the frequency. This is how many counties fell into each of these categories. So I'll call this frequency, and the horizontal axis we'll call it it's median square footage. So that's my distribution. It is somewhat symmetric. It's maybe you could look at this and say it's slightly skewed, but again, it's a small sample size and it actually doesn't look like it's too skewed. So I don't think it's that asymmetric. Let's take a look at the histogram for the median listing price. I'm going to do the same thing. Insert a chart. Histogram is found under statistics charts. They're right here. And this is my histogram for median listing price. Oops. Again, I'm going to add the axis titles, and I'm going to extend it out a little bit just so that we don't have this ugly formatting for the bins. I really don't like the way that Excel does the bins. So that's a little bit better. If you go to format code and if you change it to $number, comma K, that's that'll simplify the it'll just put it in thousands. So that actually will fit a little nicer. Actually, I don't need to have the $sign because it's all in dollars. Let's edit that again. I'm going to take out so under format axis, we want to go down to the number formatting. Format code, you can just let's see, $, comma K is going to make it so that, yes, it's going to have the number and it's going to end with a K, meaning that we're in thousands. So I'm going to title this axis median listing price, and I'm going to put parentheses dollars to show that that's the units. This vertical axis is frequency. That's not a bad histogram. That's nicely labeled. All right, great. So now let's talk a little bit about how we would get the sample statistics. I know we want to get for a median listing price and for median square feet, you want to calculate the mean, the median, and the standard deviation. Remember, there's formulas for all of these in Excel. The mean formula is actually the average. And I'm going to put a parenthesis, select this whole column. The first cell up there is a title. I don't need it, but it's not going to break anything if I include it. And that's my mean square footage. For median, it's the MEDIAN formula. Go up here, select all of these again. And for the standard, I have to put equals stdef.s. Don't forget the .s. And there we go. I'm going to just go down a couple decimal places. 2 decimal places is fine. I don't need to have that many. Now let's go to listing price. We've got, I'm going to actually just take these 3 formulas, copy, and I'm going to paste the formulas. And then I'm going to take the formatting of this cell right here, click the format painter to format these numbers as in dollars. That looks pretty nice. All right, so I got my mean, median, and standard deviation for square footage, for the median square footage of the county, and the median listing price for the county. Let's calculate some more summary statistics. We want to find the correlation, and that's the variable R, and then the R squared. Correlation is found by using the correl function, C-O-R-R-E-L. I'm going to select my 2 variables, 1 column of data, comma, and my second range. Correlation 0.12. Again, it's a very weak positive correlation. I kind of guessed that from looking at the histogram with the trend line. R squared is you take the correlation, you square it. So it's this number times itself, or you can use a little caret and then a 2. It's going to square that number. 0.0155, very, very low. This is just saying that the median for this sample the square footage, the median square footage of the county accounts for roughly 1.6% of the variation in the median listing price, which is extremely low. Other factors are much more important. You know what they say in real estate: location, location, location. Now, let's talk about the linear regression equation. I need to calculate a slope. And I want to find the slope and the intercept. The slope is found by using the slope function. I've played with other ones. The linest function is more complicated than we need. Let's just use SLOPE, and then we're going to take the y's. Now remember, this is the opposite order from the scatter plot. The y's are my median listing price. And so I'm going to select from here up to the top. Oops. Slope, and then I have to say comma, and then I put in the x's. Copy that down. Great, my slope is 33.107. My intercept is going to be the intercept function INTER parenthesis. Gonna do the same exact thing with the y's. My listing price is first, comma, and then my median square feet range is next. Okay, so what we've got here is I'll write it out here. It's y hat equals 269,638.5 plus 33.10718 x, where x is the median square footage for some county. So let's suppose we have a county with let's say median square foot of, let's say 1574 square feet. The prediction, I'm just going to do it right here. It's going to be this intercept plus the slope times 1574. No need to get more complicated than that. It's the intercept plus the slope times the square footage I'm interested in. So there we go. The square footage, let's put it in terms of dollars just to make it look a little nicer. I don't need all the decimal places. We don't need to be that precise. Actually, the formatting here is nicer. The dollar sign can be stuck to the number. So if you have a county with a median square footage of 1574 square feet, we would predict median listing price to be $321,749. However, as you can see from the model we've come up with, especially with a super low R squared, we can't be very confident in that prediction. There's a good chance that the listing price could be far from that because there's a lot of variation around our trend line. Many other factors are much more important than just the square footage. At least that's what my data is telling me. You're going to want to compare your sample data with the national data, which you're provided with in another file. And of course, just putting this stuff together in this spreadsheet is not sufficient. You need to put these charts, nicely labeled charts, into your summary report, which you're going to submit. You want to put everything nicely written out with section titles, written paragraphs explaining things, charts, tables of statistics. It should look really nice. I would, if you're one of my students, I would say include your sample data as an appendix at the end of the document. No need to put the data in the body of the document. For me, I want you to treat your summary report as if you are submitting this to your supervisor. And your job as an analyst is to go through the data and come up with conclusions. It's not your supervisor's job to look at all the data. That's just noise. You want to synthesize, like go through the data, understand it, explain it in words that your supervisor would understand, especially if you want to do a really good job. Try to use words that are clear that someone who's not statistically literate would understand. Because you don't want to be using too much jargon. Explain these ideas in a way that your boss would understand. And the charts are good, the tables are good, but the data itself, keep that in the appendix. You don't need to have that as the first thing in the report. That would be, if I was your boss, I would be annoyed that I'd have to sift through all of that in my reading of your report. Anyway, that just about wraps it up for project 1. It's very similar to what you did for the first 2 assignments for weeks 2 and 3. I think you should probably do fine. All right. Well, that's it for now. I hope you do really well. Bye.